Right. Hi again, this is Madhushankar from University of Colombo. So there's a couple of things to discuss today as well. Um, regarding leading towards a mobile application development, right? This is fetching data from existing um, solution, right? Where there are exposed APIs, we are going to retrieve data. So so today we are going to jump to the activity 4, but the previous activity 1 and 2, if I'm not mistaken, we've covered creating our own database mm, in 000 web host, right? And we have our student course and student course combined data set there. So in mobile application development, Android application development, the first couple of or the third task was to fetch data from, if I get a chance, I'll show that as well, to fetch the data from that necessary location and show it as a JSON, right? Or just plain text in the interface. Right. So obviously, as you know, in web development, we do forms and things like that. In mobile application development too, we can do such things and basically structure or present the data set in a better way. Okay. So in this case, as I told, these are the activities that will be following, right? So this is activity 4, right? And activity 5 is this, right? Okay. All right. So in activity 4, I told that will be all right. I'm not sharing the screen. Let me share the screen quickly. All right, perfect. So these are the two activities. So this is activity 4, right? And it's running, till here. And we have activity 5, right? We have activity 5. So activity 4, we are going to, so as I told, we need to fetch data from the existing service where the endpoints or where APIs are exposed to the public net, right? So likewise, there is a platform called Open Weather Map, right? So this provides, I'm not sure about the precision or the accuracy of the results, but still it gives data, weather information by city, town, and things like that. So basically, it gives us weather information. So we can create a account, using this particular link, or just Google um, this, and we can simply you know create a new account, right? Which I'm not gonna do right now because I have an account, right? So let me go in to the account. mm, okay. So this is the account. So when we go in, we have to come to the API keys, right? And once we generate a API key, we can provide a name and we can generate a key. So this is the name that I provided. So it shouldn't, there's no requirement that we need to provide a city name, but no issues. But since we can retrieve, any city data, any town's information, no point of naming this particular API by a designated city only, right? We can say weather information or something like that. So this is the above API is the default API, right? As soon as when we log into the system and log into the system, we get this API, right? So we can use that API as well. But then again, if we need, some other information, some other narrowed down scope, then we can create our own API a designated API. So approximately it's taken 12 to 24 hours, if not mistaken, to to commit to the active state, right? So after 11 that particular time, we have a API key. So if you can recall, we covered in the first lesson how API keys work, right? So this is, just same thing. So um, let's go and see how we can fetch data, right? So as you know, so this is HTTPS, which is the protocol, and we have the domain, and from here onwards we have the folder paths, right? And here on we have the query, right? So it's saying queue. So the formatting, can differ, right? And there on we have the different parameters, right? So they call this API key API ID, right? And I've used the API ID which is mentioned here, right? So it's starting with E465 and ending with D92. So let's go to see E465 D92, right? So it's the same ID that I'm using here. And as a parameter, I'm passing a town's name, right? So matter of clicking enter, it will fetch, like you saw, right? The data set refreshed. It will fetch the particular town's weather data, right? Temperature, pressure, humidity, sea level, and main information that's required. So let's say that we need, data of Colombo, right? COLOMBO, matter of COLO. Yeah. So for the city Colombo, we get the information, right? So likewise, we can keep changing this, right? So that's the way. So what we learned is exactly applied here in actual uh, solution. Okay. So let's go to the activity again. So we have done all these things, right? We have passed this, right? And so why I'm seeing a very pretty output, because I'm using extension, Chrome extension, to mm, format the JSON outputs, right? If not, the row would, look something like this, which is not that user friendly. So by having this, we can, uh, format it in a more readable way, right? So that's that. And now, okay, so now we can see something like this. Yeah, we were able to see something like that. All right. So now we are going to create a async class in mobile app in Android Studio, right? And we are trying to fetch the data that we got over here over to the application, right? Okay. So async and sync and like there are a couple of things there, right? Synchronous, asynchronous, and things like that. Whether it's happening simultaneously or not, whether it's synchronized or not, right? So these are tasks which is happening in the background. As soon as the particular activity is triggered, then or the main activity is function, automatically these are running in the background. So uh, simultaneously it's happening, right? So we need to do that, right? So this is the way how we can create a async task. So I'll show that in the code base as well, right? So this is coming in Java, in the Java file, right? All right. So once that's done, ultimately we should be able to see a output something like this in the mobile application. So let's go and open the project, right? And let's comment out some unnecessary things for the moment. Okay. I'll walk you through the code in a high level as well, so we can get an idea. So let me refresh to get the exact output that we need. So the application is running. It will open the application automatically. Perfect. So before I, zoom in and go and show you the output, let's go to the folder structure and try to get a high level understanding about that. So Android manifest, right? So this file contains all the background information that's required to run the application, right? So basically, setting up the application name and if I'm not mistaken, application name is also set over here. Yeah, I guess so. I guess so. Right. Let me confirm that. But before, all the loading the necessary components and all these launching parts happen over here. So this is sort of admin part of the application, which is triggering at the point we click the particular application which is running in the background. So also giving certain permissions and things like that also is happening in this file. Now, for example, if we say, we have given user permission to access internet. So if this particular line was not there, right? If this particular line is not there, let me show you what happens. Save, refresh. We should get an error or the application is automatically closing, right? The application crashes automatically. Right. So what happens? The application is not having um, the required permission to log into the internet and fetch data, right? But if we have configured this in a way that even though we have now the application is crashing, right? We can handle this in a better way, saying even though the permission is provided or not, go to a page show us error. We can do that, right? But in high level, the application crashes, and I just want to give you an idea how this works, right? How this particular file works. And Java, so this contains all the main activities over here. So this contains all the so these are the same thing, as this. We can have the unit testing and um, instrumental testing, so things like that. So testing and project development methodologies, over here. So in this particular file, it contains all the logic that's necessary, what activity needs to be triggered, and things like that, right? All contained in main activity, and there can be different Java classes as well over here. So if there are X number of Java classes, all the Java classes will be listed around here. And one more important location is the drawbars in resources file, right? In the resources directory, right? So here it launches any tasks related to the background and foreground, right? So it could be icon launching, color palettes, and things like that. And when it comes to images and icons, whatever that we need to, launch, all those, dot icon, dot img, dot png, any file, we can locate it here. So it's sort of like a public folder, public folder. We have the CSS, JS, and folders too store the data, public data. So likewise, this is something like that if we are relating to web application development. And layouts, so this is interesting, thing. Um, we can have all these, so this contains, wait, how can I show that? Right. Okay. So basically, we can drag and drop and develop here. Also, we can code the UI. There's two ways of doing it, drag and drop, and then we can code. So drag, dropping, and coding, both the same thing. Even though we drag and drop, it will create a XML file. So here it defines, what's the size of the particular page, whether it's, matching the parents' height and width, or, assigning IDs for, particular waves, it could be a text wave, a list wave, things like that. And that's the main task over here, mainly handling the UI. So in a high level, if we take activity or XML files, this is the job of the front end part, right? Basically handling the UIs and things like that. And Java files do the business logic part or the backend part, right? If we are breaking this into two modules, right? So Java goes, fetches data from the databases and do whatever the manipulations that's required, and then it will pick the relevant component from the XMLs and feed data to it, right? So this is the ID that's given to this particular code chunk, right? So text underscore wave is the ID that's assigned, right? And it says, what sort of padding that we use, whether, the layout is wrapping, height is wrapping or not, and, which it's matching the parent heights, th things like that, right? And so those are the main file structures that we need to discuss, right? Others, when we develop the um, when we create the project, automatically those things gets created, which is necessary for the background tasks. So for the moment, high level, we are focusing on these three files only. And out of these three, the main two are activity and main activity dot Java and activity underscore main XML file, right? So these are the two main files that we're looking at, right? Right. So let me close the Android manifest file because we have discussed this and we have given the necessary access as well. So let me save once again before closing and close. Okay. So let's minimize this, get some room, and let's play the application once more. Yeah. Right. Okay, so here, as usual, it's a pipe file or anything, right? We have to, import the necessary library. So that's what's happening over here, right? And so this is explaining the main activity Java file, right? All right, and so this is the trigger that's happening, when the application is double clicked and open, right? The main function, and then it looks at fetching data from the relevant logics if in place, right? And so this is the async functionality, right? So what it does, as I told before, as soon as since that is set up as a background task, as soon as the particular application is triggered, then it will go in the background to fetch the data and feed to the activity main this function, text view function. So that's what's happening over here. So basically, the fetching part happens here. So it's trying to fetch data. Now it is fetching data of Kadavata, right? So as I told here, it's the same thing over there, right? Same URL, same endpoint over there, right? So we have the protocol, we have the domain, we have the folder path, and we have the query. And so Kadavata is a parameter for this city, and we have the API key, right? Or in this case, app ID, right? Right. So if you can remember, I'm using the same app ID that I created, E46 and D92, right? So it's the same thing that I'm using, right? And so it will, as usual, it will, go and understand whether there are, actual data coming in through the endpoint or whether there's no data coming in, right? So based on that, it will produce whatever the required outputs with whether it's a error or, any notification that's needed. And what's happening over here is it's facing the mm, extracted data, right, over to JSON, right? So that's what's happening here. So it structures the data before it's sending over to the text wave, right? So that's what's happening here. So once it's sent to the text wave, this is the part that's getting triggered, which will be pushing data to the UI, right? So that's the operation which is happening behind, right, and providing us this particular uh, information, right? So we are in Kadavata. So let me do this, change this also to Kadavata and see Ka, right? If you see the temperature is 300 mm, I think this is Fahrenheit, right? Um, this also should be feels like somewhere closer. Yeah, yeah, 300 mm, right? So likewise, so now this is not that user friendly, right? Not that readable, right? So at this point we have come to the fourth activity, the last part, which is over here. So in this section, what we are trying to do, right? Um, we are trying to fetch only a certain defined um, set of data that we need, right, from the bigger, from the complete JSON file, all right? So how to do that, right, is again from the Java file. It's the methods that we use to fetch data, right? So let me comment. So the methodology that we have used here, right, is a simple text, right? That's why we are getting this particular wave, right? But let me comment this for a moment, and uncomment this code block, right? Before I rerun this, right? Here we are defining what categories, what details that we need. So we are defining, we need the description, we need the temperature, we need only what it feels like, right? So basically, we are referring to the keys and the values of the provided JSON, and then we are pinpointing only a couple of data elements that we need. So if we run this code, it will provide us only the information that we have defined. So we are getting the temperature, right? And we are getting the fields like, and we get the description. So that's how it works, right? Um, So the main idea of this is we can get data from APIs, we can feed data. Basically, we can do all five components of an endpoint, using Android. And this is the read part only, basically the get request that we've covered over here, right? So how we can modify the received data sets, received JSON files, how we can modify it. So that's what's being covered over here. So I'll be stopping this session. Thank you so much. Let's continue in a another session, which we will be jumping, diving deep in the subject. Thank you.